Welcome to our channel, Wise Flow. Let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself doing something again and again and wondering, why do I keep doing this? I know it's not helping me. I want to stop. So why can't I? Maybe it's checking your phone first thing in the morning. Maybe it's skipping workouts. Maybe it's giving up on your goals, even when they matter to you. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone and you're not broken. You're just running on autopilot. And today, we're going to break that autopilot. Welcome to this video, because what you're about to hear is not just a summary. It's a blueprint, a breakthrough, a system for real, permanent change. We're diving deep into one of the most powerful books of our time, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. This book has changed millions of lives, and today, it might change yours. Not just because of what it teaches, but how does it help you understand yourself? So get ready. This video is going to change the way you view your behavior, time, willpower, and future. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Habit Loop. Cue, routine, reward. Let's begin at the beginning. Have you ever wondered why some actions feel automatic? Why do you reach for your phone without thinking? Why do you always crave something sweet after dinner? Or why do you feel uncomfortable when you try to change? That's not just behavior. That's a habit. According to Charles Duhigg, every habit, whether helpful or harmful, follows the same three-part pattern. He calls this the habit loop. And understanding this loop is the first step to understanding yourself. The loop has three parts: cue, routine, reward. Let's break it down. Step 1. The cue or trigger. The cue is the signal, the spark, the thing that tells your brain, hey, it's time to do that thing again. It could be a time of day, like 4 p.m., a location, your bed, your desk, an emotional state, boredom, stress, sadness, excitement. Other people, being around friends, co-workers, and family. A preceding action, finishing dinner, finishing work. The cue is what starts the habit. Step 2. The routine. This is the actual behavior, the action you repeat again and again. It could be scrolling through Instagram, eating chips, going for a walk, smoking a cigarette, writing in your journal. Whatever you do after the cue, that's the routine. Step 3. The reward. Why do you have this habit? Because of the reward. The reward can be a feeling of relief, a taste you enjoy, a sense of escape, a hit of pleasure, a moment of control. The brain loves rewards. When it gets one, it takes notes. It thinks, that felt good. Let's do that again next time. A real-life example. Let's say every afternoon around 4 p.m. you feel a little tired. That's your cue. You walk to the kitchen, open the fridge, and grab a bar of chocolate. That's your routine. You take a bite, and sweet satisfaction. That's your reward. You feel better for now. Your brain now builds a link. 4 p.m. equals chocolate equals good. So tomorrow, at the same time, your brain whispers, "Where's my chocolate?" That whisper gets louder the more you repeat the habit, until one day it's not a decision anymore. It's a loop, a closed circuit, running without your permission. Why this matters. The problem isn't that you eat chocolate. The problem is that you didn't choose to. It happened on autopilot, and most of your life is happening this way. Good habits, bad habits, they all start from the same place, the habit loop. But here's the good news. Once you can see the loop, you can change it. Chapter 2. Craving. The hidden fuel of every habit. Let's go deeper. Most people think habits are just about behavior, but behavior is just the surface. Underneath every habit is something more powerful, something emotional. It's called craving. Craving is the fuel behind every habit. It's what makes your brain feel excited before the habit starts, and anxious if you don't do it. Let's revisit the chocolate example. You feel a little bored. That's your cue. Your body starts to crave something, not the chocolate itself, but the feeling that comes after. The taste, the comfort, the distraction. That's the real habit. Not eating chocolate, but chasing the feeling you expect from it. And here's the scary part. This craving begins to form even before you walk to the fridge, even before you're aware of it. Your brain predicts pleasure. Think about this. When your phone buzzes, you crave connection. When you open Instagram, you crave validation. When you smoke, you crave escape. When you procrastinate, you crave relief. The behavior is only the middle part. The craving is what keeps it alive. Why this is life-changing. You're not addicted to the thing. You're addicted to the feeling you believe it gives you. But here's the twist. Once you can name that craving, you start to break its power. Try this. Pause when you feel the urge. Ask, what am I craving right now? Is it comfort, connection, control, escape? Once you identify the emotional need, you can meet it more healthily. And just like that, the habit begins to change. Chapter 3. The Golden Rule of Habit Change. This is one of the most powerful principles in the entire book. If you remember just one thing, remember this. You don't break a habit by fighting it. You break it by replacing it. This is called the Golden Rule of Habit Change. Keep the cue. Keep the reward. Change the routine. Let's see it in action. Meet Bill. He's an alcoholic. Every day after work he feels overwhelmed. His cue is stress. His routine is to go to the bar and drink. The reward is feeling relaxed. He tries to quit, again and again. But the stress doesn't go away, so he always returns to the bar. Until one day he tries something new. Instead of going to the bar, he calls a friend. They talk. He laughs. He feels heard. He still gets the reward, relaxation. But now the routine is different. That's the turning point. Same cue, same reward, new routine. That's how Alcoholics Anonymous was born, and that's how real lasting change happens. Build a new routine for the same reward. Let's say you smoke to feel calm. Try breathing or walking. You scroll social media to feel connected. Text a friend or write a note. You eat junk food for comfort. Try journaling or talking to someone. You're not removing the cue. You're not giving up the reward. You're just building a better bridge between the two. You're not erasing the loop. You're rewriting it. Chapter 4. Keystone Habits. The habits that transform everything. Imagine there's one domino in your life, and if you knock it over, dozens of others fall with it. That's what a keystone habit does. Charles Duhigg discovered that certain habits are more powerful than others. They don't just change one thing, they change everything. What is a keystone habit? It's a habit that changes your self-image, triggers other positive habits, builds momentum, reshapes your identity. Example from the book: Lisa, a woman with a difficult life, depression, smoking, and 8 struggles. One day, after a breakup, she made a decision. She would stop smoking. That was it. One habit. But within a year, she was exercising regularly. She changed her job. She improved her diet. She rebuilt her confidence. She became someone new. Why? Because changing one habit changed her belief. I'm someone who can keep a promise to myself. Common keystone habits. Exercise. People who exercise tend to eat better, sleep more, and focus longer. Making your bed creates order, boosts control, and improves productivity. Gratitude journaling lowers anxiety, improves mood, and strengthens relationships. Meal prepping reduces stress, improves health, and builds consistency. You don't need to change everything. You just need to change one thing that changes everything. Chapter 5. Willpower is a muscle, and you can train it. Here's one of the biggest myths people believe. Some people are just born with willpower. I'm not. That's not true. Willpower is not fixed. It's not a gift. It's a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets tired when overused, but it gets stronger when trained. A powerful experiment. Researchers gave hungry participants two options. Group A could eat delicious cookies. Group B had to resist the cookies and eat bland radishes. Then both groups were given a tough puzzle. Who gave up sooner? Group B, the radish group. Why? Because their willpower was already drained from resisting the cookies. They had no energy left for the next challenge. Train your willpower. Like a workout, start with small wins. Build confidence, build strength. Examples: wake up and make your bed. Drink water before touching your phone. Write one sentence in your notebook. Go for a 5-minute walk, even if you don't feel like it. Each time you act against comfort, your willpower grows. Over time, your brain starts to believe, I'm the kind of person who does what I say I'll do. That identity becomes your secret power. The truth about strong people. Successful people don't have more willpower. They've just trained their willpower longer. They've built systems to support their strength. So don't try to be perfect, just try to be consistent. The power is already in you. You just have to build it, one small decision at a time. Chapter 6. The role of belief. Why you must believe change is possible. Let's pause and go inward. By now you understand how habits form. You know about cues, routines, and rewards. You know about cravings and willpower. But still, something inside you may whisper, I've tried before. I always fail. I'm just not the kind of person who can change. That voice? That's belief, or rather, the lack of it. Why habits aren't just physical. They're psychological. Charles Duhigg discovered something strange while studying people who tried to change. Even when they understood the habit loop, even when they had motivation, support, and strategies, they still failed. Why? Because deep inside, they didn't believe they could truly change. They said things like, "This won't last. I've always been this way. Other people succeed, but not me." This silent disbelief became a prison. But here's the key lesson. You can't change your habits if you don't believe that change is possible. A story of hope. Alcoholics Anonymous. Let's go back to AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. For years, psychologists couldn't understand why it worked so well. There were no doctors, no medicine, no strict therapy plans. And yet, people got sober. What was the secret? Belief. Not just belief in themselves, but belief borrowed from others. In AA, you meet people who say, I was broken like you, I made terrible choices, I hurt people, but I changed. And you can too. That belief spreads like a spark. At first, you borrow it, then you start to feel it. Then you live it. How to build belief. Even when you feel broken, if you're struggling to believe, don't worry. Start small. Let belief grow, like a plant. Here's how. Surround yourself with stories of change. Read books like this one. Listen to people who have walked the same road. Speak new words to yourself, even if you don't fully believe them yet. Say, I am not stuck. I am learning. I am not weak. I am growing. I am not my past. I am my potential. You don't need to believe everything. You just need to believe one thing. Change is possible. And once that seed is planted, your habits, your mind, and your life will begin to shift. Chapter 7. Your environment shapes your habits more than you think. Here's a shocking truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your environment. Most people think they fail because they're lazy, unmotivated, or undisciplined. But Charles Duhigg shows something much deeper. It's not just you. It's the space around you. A story from the hospital. In one hospital, doctors were skipping hand washing even though they knew it was dangerous. Posters were everywhere. Rules were clear. Warnings were serious. Still, people ignored them. Then someone made a small change. They moved the soap dispensers closer. They placed sanitizer right next to the beds. The result? Hand-washing rates skyrocketed. Infections dropped dramatically. No lectures, no punishments, just a new environment. The power of environmental cues. Now think about your life. If your phone is beside your bed, you'll scroll. If cookies are in the kitchen, you'll eat them. If your TV is always on, you'll sit longer. If your friends complain all day, you'll start to do the same. But if your journal is by your bed, you'll write. If your running shoes are near the door, you'll walk. If your room is clean, you'll feel focused. We don't just act based on willpower, we act based on what's easiest to do in our environment. How to design a space for success. Start asking, what's the first thing I see in the morning? Is my phone the last thing I touch at night? Are my habits supported or sabotaged by what's around me? Now apply the friction principle. Remove friction for good habits. Make them easier. Put your vitamins on the table. Keep healthy food at eye level. Lay out your workout clothes before bed. Add friction to bad habits. Make them harder. Log out of social media. Delete junk food delivery apps. Turn off notifications. You don't have to force change. You can design for it. Change your space, and your habits will follow. Chapter 8. Small Wins Create Big Change. Do you know what transforms lives? Not giant leaps, not an overnight success, not bursts of motivation. The real power lies in small wins. Charles Duhigg calls this one of the most underrated forces in human behavior, because small wins become big victories when repeated. The story of Alcoa. When Paul O'Neill became CEO of Alcoa, a huge American company, everyone expected big moves. New marketing, higher profits, bold innovation. But in his first speech, he shocked investors. He said, "We're going to focus on safety. I want to make Alcoa the safest company in the world." People thought he was crazy. But what happened? By focusing on one small, specific goal, everything improved. Communication between employees got better. Systems became faster. Morale rose. Productivity improved. Profits skyrocketed. All from one small but consistent win. The psychology of small wins. Here's why small wins matter. They create momentum. They build confidence. They reinforce your identity. They train your brain to expect success. You don't need to meditate for 30 minutes. Just start with 2. That's a win. You don't need to write a whole book. Just 1 sentence tonight. That's a win. You don't need to transform your diet. Just drink 1 extra glass of water. That's a win. The brain doesn't care how small it is. What it notices is consistency. Stack your wins. Small wins add up, day after day. 1 promise kept, 1 habit honored, 1 change accepted. And soon, you don't just exercise, you're an active person. You don't just journal, you're a mindful person. You don't just speak English, you're an English speaker. Identity follows action, so take small actions. And watch your identity and your life begin to transform. Chapter 9. You have the power, but you must take responsibility. Now we arrive at the deepest, most challenging truth. You are not your habits, but your habits have shaped your life. You weren't born procrastinating. You weren't born scrolling endlessly. You weren't born stuck, tired, or distracted. These are patterns your brain learned through repetition. But here's the life-changing message. What was learned can be unlearned. What was repeated can be replaced. What became automatic can be reprogrammed. If and only if you take responsibility. The tragic story of Angie Bachman. Angie was a bored, lonely housewife. She started gambling just for fun. But over time, it became a habit, then an escape, then an addiction. She lost millions. Her marriage, her peace, her self-respect. She blamed the casino, and yes, the system did exploit her. They tracked her behavior, sent her offers, designed her surroundings. But the book makes something clear. The system may be unfair, but her decisions were still hers. She chose to keep playing. She chose to ignore the warnings. She chose not to interrupt the loop. And that's the difference between those who change and those who stay stuck. Look in the mirror. You don't control what life throws at you, but you do control what you repeat. That's your power. If you don't design your habits will design your life, and they don't care if they destroy it. So take the mirror, look into it. Say, "This is my life. I choose what happens next. I am not a slave to old patterns. I will rewrite this loop. I will build something better." This is not easy, but it is possible, and it is worth it. One final truth. Your brain is a pattern machine. It will automate anything you repeat, good or bad. So automate greatness. Make discipline your default. Make courage your habit. Make consistency your identity. Because your next version is waiting, not in some distant future, not when fear disappears, but now, right now. This is your moment. Take it. The habit that changes everything. You've made it to the end. But this isn't the end. It's the beginning of something powerful. You now carry something that most people never stop to discover. The truth about how your life works. Not by luck, not by talent, but by the small habits you choose every single day. You've seen the loop, you've understood the science, you've heard the stories, and deep inside, you've felt the shift. Now it's time to make it real. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, right now, choose one habit, just one. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water every morning. Maybe it's 5 minutes of silent breathing. Maybe it's writing one sentence in your journal. Or maybe it's simply saying to yourself, "I am becoming someone new." Whatever you choose, do it today, and do it again tomorrow. Let that one habit become the spark, the pattern, the proof. The world doesn't need another goal. It needs your consistency, your commitment, your quiet decision to rise when no one is watching. If this video gave you even one moment of clarity, if something in your heart whispered yes while you listened, then don't let it fade. Subscribe, not for the next video, but for the next version of you, because here we don't just talk about change, we live it, one habit at a time. Your story isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. I believe in you. Now go take that first step and never look back.